My name is Tobias. I am German. I've been living in the United Kingdom for 17 years, the last 15 of which in London, and just moved to Oxford recently. I am a musician and I'm very interested in permaculture, ecology, sustainability. I'm 48 years old and I'm a Buddhist. I bought these shoes in a charity shop in a very small town because I needed shoes for a puppet show that I was delivering with the Goethe Institute, delivering a puppet play for English children to learn German in a fun way. They are ideal for playing drums, drum kit. I'm also a musician, so I play drum kit, so they're very flat shoes. Very good for that. There's nothing. At the moment, including these, I own 4 pairs of shoes only, because I have just moved house and I got rid of pretty much everything. I have never smelled shoes that bad. So it was a choice between throwing them away and saying never ever buy shoes in a charity shop again, or fixing them somehow. So I had a kettle in my hotel room, as it is customary in England to have tea and a kettle in this country. So I basically bathed these shoes in boiling water and then also bought myself salt and just filled salt into them and boiling water and was able to get that smell out, which also meant that the entire color, so I made a total mess of my hotel room because all the color drained out. But I managed to rescue them and wear them, and now they are quite a favorite. And I'll wear them until they are totally gone. At the moment, it is a bit more difficult than me being really conscious of things I'm looking forward to. I'm a bit in a low. I've just moved house. We just had Brexit. I experienced myself very much as a foreigner in this country, even after 17 years. It has changed the feeling of living in this country. Something I certainly look forward to when I put on these shoes is to make music, which is the joy of my life. And because I'm a drummer, I very strongly connect with people, and we dance together, we party together, and so I very much enjoy that, and I very much enjoy connecting with other people through music making and the experience of sharing music together. So that's really something I look forward to every time. Every time I walk through Oxford, I'm glad that it's not London. Simply because I've been in London so long, decided to leave London, and I'm glad to be in Oxford. So I enjoy a lot of things in Oxford tremendously, particularly that I keep meeting people who know people I met the other day in a totally different situation. So everything is just so much more interconnected. Living in London, I've totally forgotten how that feels. I come from a small town in Germany where that is very much the case as well. It's a network of people, and I like that. It holds together, or at least I have the feeling it holds together. And I've noticed how much I need that to feel safe and to feel held and to belong. I've experienced great emotions of envy with other people, especially through music making, when I have, in my earlier years, when I've seen musicians who have just been so far ahead of me, people who I've been imagining what must it be like to play at such a high level, to integrate oneself in a musical tradition to such a high degree that one just speaks freely through lush music making and creativity and fluency and joy, and bringing joy to people. That for me is just very inspiring. However, now I'm not doing that anymore. I'm much more interested in trying to figure out who I could be wearing the same old shoes, and how I could be a new person stepping in my same old shoes, rather than stepping in someone else's shoes. Well, the first word that comes comes to mind is love, basic. And to extend that, I would say belonging, identity, communication, compassion, sharing, the opportunity to give and receive, nature, and community. And from there I would go on into arts and political stability, peace, enough money to not be stressed, and a place to live, which in Oxford is not an easy thing to find. I also think that the English have the right to move very freely, but don't. I mean, I'm a German teacher in England, and England has a terrible record for in foreign languages, and that's my work, to break through that, to promote cultural learning. So I actually experience England from the monocultural perspective, even though, you know, such a multicultural society, as we have found out through the Brexit vote, you know, like I say, how many UKIP supporters speak a foreign language fluently? I'd be really interested in that. I think these things are linked. How many people who voted for Brexit have lived in a foreign European country and have experienced what it's like to be a guest, what it's like to belong somewhere else, what it's like to think in another language, to communicate, to run their business in another language. So, but yeah, it's a total violation of human rights to not let a person move freely. And that's such a dilemma, considering there are so many people on the move at the moment. For me, all these people have a right to move freely, and yet they have to be nourished, and they have to have hope, and they have to be received somewhere, and that also overstretches other countries. At least so they say, even though I personally think we could do much more to receive many more people. And if we had a different way of thinking, we would be welcoming people to a much higher degree. And I've lived in at least 4 countries myself. I've lived in the States, I've lived in Venezuela, I've lived in Senegal, I've been an exchange student in Dominican Republic. I am a wanderer. I have not much notion of home with my own country anymore. And I've been received in all these countries, working there, playing music, connecting with people, and how could I ever deny another person to wander the planet? If you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have said that my way of life is the life of a professional musician, self-employed, living for my arts, living very low budget, working as much that I need to survive in order to dedicate time to music and other interests, particularly Buddhism and ecology. Yeah, I guess I can still say that now, even though I think the music making has taken a bit of a step back, and over the last year I had a particular shift where I did a course in permaculture, and I just realized that this planet is in crisis. I realized it not only on a rational, intellectual, but really on an emotional level. And we are so slow in getting behind that and understanding that. And that's just mind-blowing. And even with the whole political agenda that's going on now, the most tragic for me is how the efforts in ecology and sustainability will suffer by, for example, England leaving the EU, and by the whole narrative taking this sort of patriotic side. We really have to, we're in a crisis, and what bothers me the most is that we don't understand the seriousness of this ecological crisis we're in. But I'm very privileged I can say that, because in a way I have a silver spoon in my mouth. You know, I come from a very middle class background. I have the luxury to live like that. I have the luxury to live, basically. I'm not interested in material goods, simply because I was brought up with them. So I know what they're like, and I know that they don't necessarily make me happy. As long as the basics are covered, And again, I do have a silver spoon in my mouth. The fact that, if I was financially flat on the ground, my family background would probably help me. And I have a lot of understanding for other people being much more economy focused, which was the generation of my parents after the war in Germany. They're very economy focused. So my generation, born in the 60s, have moved on from that. I would like you to understand the aspiration that I have in life, so you could represent me well as you walk in my shoes. And that aspiration is called a spiritual, or a better word is probably a dharmic aspiration, because it's related to the teachings of the Dharma. And these two aspirations in my case are to achieve greater wisdom around life through the technique of meditation, and to deepen my capacity for compassion with others, possibly also through meditation and through the act of giving. My new pair of shoes would be probably some gumboots that I would wear on the farm, on the permaculture farm that I would like to be part of. We have various permaculture projects in Oxford, and I'm involved in them, and I feel that permaculture is one of the ways to get us out of the crisis and to make a substantial contribution for us to solve the ecological crisis that we're in, which is linked to the political crisis. I'm tired of living in a place that's only takes in the experience of people. What's the point of my life if I understand that we are in crisis and I continue being part of the problem and never ever even become part of some kind of solution? I can't live with myself just keeping. So I've tried to stop flying, and I've become a vegan, and I try to live sustainably, which is a daily negotiation. So my new shoes hopefully take me a long way in that direction.